Can you guys
So-
see me? I'm on camera, right?
You're
My
on
old
camera.
man eyes. I've
Yeah.
got the camera so far away from me.
Oh no, we can see you.
We can see the top of your head and your legs mostly.
Yeah, your jacket or shirt or whatever you're wearing is blended in with the pine tree behind you.
A beautiful
So,
pine tree.
there you go.
Oh. Ooh-wah.
They found the face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake roll. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he should.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Log Room Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai, eating something, of course. How are you tonight, Mr. Samurai?
Clementines, tangerines. There's how many mandarin oranges? What do you call them?
I call them clementines, mandarin oranges, or what was the other thing you said?
Tangerines?
Tangerines. There you go. well, they all have something in common, don't they?
They all are this size.
There you go.
About this, I mean, I peeled
The
it.
little
but,
oranges.
little oranges.
Little oranges.
Well,
there you
it's, the weather's starting to turn, so got to get my vitamin C because, as you know, I commute to New York City.
go. This is true. So you need more vitamin C, the better.
More vitamin C, the better.
Absolutely. I agree. So speaking of vitamin C, I haven't confirmed or denied it yet, but vitamin C. We spoke about vitamin C a couple times on the show so far, but we talked about it a few weeks ago when we did our top Massachusetts breweries.
Yes, we did.
I think they were one of yours, I believe.
They were one of mine, yes.
Yeah. I did notice that there's a tap night, tap takeover, anniversary party, whatever it may be, at a particular place in northern, close to
we
northwestern
let
Jersey.
the guy. We can say it.
Tap House 15. There you go.
That's
All
a
right.
place.
Anyway, they're having a party, of course, their annual thing on Friday night, and there's like 7 vitamin C kegs on tap. And to me, that means that they're available in Jersey now. And I've been trying. I just saw it today, and I've been trying for like 3 hours to try and figure out exactly who it is that's distributing them now. So
You'll have to figure that one out.
we'll have to figure that one. More on that later. We'll let you know.
We'll have to ask Gene to ask the owner of Tap House 15.
We can do that. We can make a couple of calls and find out. So,
I'm sure I can probably talk Gene to go into that.
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
maybe
sure
I'll
he's
leave.
already gone.
Maybe I'll even me. I'm sure he's going. Please. He
Oh,
lives
you're gonna
5
come
minutes
up all the way up there.
to drink it and drive all the way home. Absolutely. Sure. I'll do that in a second. Right.
Brilliant.
Anyway.
Especially with 7 vitamin C's on tap.
Yeah, exactly. And many others. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
And knowing that place, we're probably not talking the lowest ABVs.
Not at all. Not at all.
He likes his big stouts.
This is true. So anyway, how are you today?
Good. Oh, missed one of the opening shticks. What day is it?
Yeah. It's
What did I
got this
tell
right
you?
now. It's
What did I tell
National Moose Day right there.
Oh, no. Okay, so you've got it spelt wrong. It's not Moose Day.
It's
or
not
Moose
National
Ball.
Moose. I thought this was like a Canadian thing. Yeah.
Oh, no. I thought you
No.
were going with Moose Balls Day, but the
Well, it
Giants
could be
won
Moose
this
Balls Day.
weekend.
Giants did win, yes. I mean, they look. Here's my thing. This is my take from the Giants game this past Sunday. Right? They tried, and despite all of their efforts, they still won the game. Right.
And you've got to be a happy sports guy. The Mets signed Scherzer.
Yeah, well, I'm still in disbelief, but
Well,
yes,
I just
pretty
hope that
interesting.
Scherzer is ready to go on to the injured reserve list after his 5th start.
Everybody, everywhere, ever since they finalized the deal at like 11:30 yesterday morning, I've seen nothing but how long till he goes on the IR.
That's
all
what
I've seen.
happened.
Yeah.
Every time we sign a great pitcher,
It's not IR. IR is football. It's IL, the
IL.
injured list. I can't. It used to be the DL. Now it's the IL. In football, it's the IR. I don't know.
DL stands for down low, so it's just they had to change
move it
it
around. Exactly. So anyway, so it's not National Moose Day.
And the NFL doesn't like anything with a no.
Let's
skip that. So no, it's not National MOOSE Day.
It's this one, right?
It's that one right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
National Moose Day. Okay.
I did have whipped cream, but I had no chocolate pudding to make mousse.
So there you go. So we just say Happy National Moose Day. It's also National Strange Names Day.
It is National Strange Names Day, and you and I both have kind of strange last names.
Jersey Johnny and the Beer Samurai.
Yeah, Johnny and Samurai.
Johnny and Samurai, right?
But no, John's got a German last name.
Yes, I do.
Mine is Polish.
Yes. So it's There you go.
But we've got a guy on the show whose last name's really kind of cool because it's the same name as like people's favorite grill.
This is true. This is true. Why don't we bring him on? We can talk about that.
Yes, bring him
Let's
on.
see if he is involved with that by any means. We'll see. All
If
right.
he gets any cut there.
We'll see. All right, everybody, welcome to the show tonight. Our guest tonight is Christian Weber from Common Roots Brewing. Christian, how are you, sir?
What's
we doing?
going on, guys?
There he is right there, co-founder and president of Common Roots Brewing.
Oh, not the
You know,
grill
I wish
company.
I was part of the Weber Grill family because that would
Dynasty.
probably
That's
have a
a
little bit
dynasty.
different brewery by now.
They've got their own restaurant, so that becomes a
There you go.
dynasty when you got your own restaurant.
So
That's
anyway,
absolutely.
so how's things in South Glens Falls tonight?
We're getting a little snow right now. It's pretty nice.
We had
It's
a
that
little.
time of year. Winter came quick up here.
It did. We had a couple of flurries down here today, but we're what, about 5 hours south of you, I guess.
We had a little bit of a squall yesterday. I work in New York City, and I left for lunch, and it just came down hard and heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I got back up to the office, looked out the window, and it stopped. I'm
Yep.
like, thanks. That's how.
So if it's, if you're not really shoveling, is it really snow? I think that's like our
Yeah.
barometer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have to shovel, it wasn't too bad.
Right.
No,
This is
I
true.
live in an apartment, so
Bro, you're not shoveling even when it's
So you're
heavy,
never shoveling. That's good.
never shoveling. The car's parked down in the garage, so
Right.
I don't need to shovel.
There you go.
That's nice. You don't have to even wipe the car off or anything. That's
Done.
No,
Easy peasy.
yeah,
Easy
don't
peasy.
need it. Don't need the remote starter to warm it up ahead of time.
Man, it's like easy living.
You gotta
Yeah.
love it.
Easy living. You're gonna get a little lazy with that.
Except you share 4 walls,
Well,
and there's noises coming from all different directions.
this is true.
So when you have all those vitamin C beers and you come home, it's you got to keep it down. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I tend
he's
to be
supposed
mostly
to.
quiet.
Whether he does or not is a different story. Anyway, so what are we drinking tonight? Let's open some beers. 'Cause I'm a little thirsty.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm already.
You're ahead now, so let's throw that up really quick. You are drinking Lutz,
I'm
right?
drinking this is a family brewery. This is Lutz. It was named after my grandfather Ludwig. Very German.
Not the
Came
ice
to
skating.
America in the 1950. He was known to me as Opa, which is German for grandpa.
Sure.
And we just came out with it. It comes out once a year. It's a Keller style lager, and we actually recently started kind of dry hopping it with some kind of noble hops.
Nice.
And it was just in time for Thanksgiving, and definitely a bunch of them went down. So, given that this is the lager room show, I figured I should probably be drinking some lager, which isn't too hard of an ask for me. So
No, but it's not really too hard of an ask for me either. It seems a really big, daunting task for Dave and I to actually be drinking lagers on the show.
On the show, yeah. When I'm not on the show, I
Right.
drink a lot of lagers.
that's right. What are you guys drinking?
Dave, go ahead.
Well, I think the first beers I ever had of yours was when you had Dave was at your sales guy Dave was at Plank Pizza for a tap takeover.
Dave from Remarkable. Dave.
Remarkable. That's right.
Yep.
And he was there, so we ran through some of your beers, talked about them. Got a couple of flights and ran through, and I've got to say, what's the coffee stout that you've got? Cup of coffee. Coffee cup. That's
Yeah.
it. And that was my favorite of the whole thing.
There you go.
Nice.
Really,
It's
really
definitely
enjoyed it.
an OG beer for us. That was one of the kind of original ones coming out. The guy. So we always use Crew Coffee, and Crew is actually owned and operated by a guy I went to high school with, and when he was kind of building up his business, and we were still, expanding as well. He was actually roasting in our back warehouse for a bit, and it was
cool.
tough sometimes. The smells of coffee coming through the brewery. I mean, brewing has a lot of great smells, a lot
Sure.
of great smells, but coffee always smells freaking good. It's ridiculous. So
And he was back there making bacon on the Weber grill.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
only
exactly.
thing. That and bacon.
Well, any grill that Christian owns is a Weber grill. I mean, no
This
matter,
is true.
So, but
So,
anyway.
but because of Coffee Cup being my favorite beer of that flight, I decided to go with a coffee porter.
There you go.
Right? And so going with a Wake from Night Shift.
There you go.
It's
Awesome
just
beer.
up there a
Really
couple
good beer.
weekends
Always
ago
a
and
tasty beer, yeah.
got it in my night shift glass.
And even doing it proper too, in proper glassware.
Proper glassware. There you go.
Actually, technically, it's not proper glassware considering the guy told me this is one of their wine glasses because they make wine now.
They do.
Yeah.
I'll drink. John knows. I'll drink beer out of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost anything.
Put it in a line of shoe with plastic and pour beer in there, and you'll drink it. I won't, but he will.
I've drank boat beer out of a martini glass before.
You have.
So.
You drink boat beer out of a boat too, but that's besides the point. Anyway, all right.
Gravy
My
boat.
beer.
Ooh, there we go. I got to do one out of a gravy boat.
You have to do it out of gravy boat. Yeah, well, it just makes sense, right?
Yeah. Got
there
it.
you go.
What are you drinking, Johnny?
I am drinking from Treehouse Big Peach. It's a
Peach.
8.2% double New England conditioned on an aged IPA, right? Conditioned on peach puree. Yeah, conditioned on peach puree and freeze dried peaches. So it's
Nice.
pour that and see what that looks like. I was just up there a week and a half before him. So
yep.
So one trip that we didn't meet up.
Yeah. No, it was a week off. I still got some Julius left.
Do you?
And Rover.
Got a little bit of Liz pour going on here, so it's all good though.
So, Christian, Liz pours a term out of Rhode Island. I lived in Rhode Island for a year, and one of the most active people on Facebook in Rhode Island in the craft beer community is R.I. Elizabeth. And anytime you over pour a beer in Rhode Island, it's referred to as a Liz pour.
Yeah.
A Liz pour.
Because she can't pour a beer to save her life.
There you go.
It's not bad.
Yeah, nice. That looks pretty good. Nice head.
All right.
All right.
That works. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
For sure.
Well, I like that. I get the reflection of the screen.
That's pretty damn good.
It's funny. It's kind of trippy. My camera angles here is reversed. So everything
Is it really?
Yep.
You know, I'm like, oh man. So I put it down.
So like if I'm pointing that way, but my screen's going that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yes,
So.
John and I have gotten used to this. At first, it'd be like, okay, so I've got the can pointed the wrong way, so
you
I'm
got to turn it.
Okay, there we go. It takes a little while to get used to.
Exactly. So, anyway, all right. Let's start a couple of questions. We'll start off like we always do on every show. We ask everybody.
Every show.
What was the first craft beer you can remember having? It can be an ish.
Yeah, an ish. I think it was probably definitely either a Long Trail or a Sam Adams that I had either snuck from my parents, or they allowed me to, have a sip of something, but they always had that. I think that was probably it, or maybe even a Saranac. Like sometimes they would get like a Saranac mix pack,
Right. Sure.
It would have like the Dark Forest and all the other stuff in there. So I think it was probably within that realm. I think maybe going to college, there was a little brewery in Vermont that I remember this spot where I had a fake ID, or I didn't have fake ID, but I did. I would get Trout River. I don't think they're around anymore. They were kind of going up towards like Jay in Vermont.
Okay.
And I remember like going there and like not knowing what the hell I should get because I'm all nervous but I wanted something that wasn't like Keystone, because we could just get that from whoever was buying us beer.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like, I got a 6-pack of this, and I remember feeling it was pretty. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I think that's that's probably my initial kind of
your initial
other
than sneaking a beer or having a sip of something. Right. That was your initial beer. I got you. That's cool.
That was it. But I mean, if we were to talk about like when I had these moments, it wasn't necessarily those, but those happened later, But that was definitely some of the first times where I was having something different than like sneaking to Labatt's at some friend's house or something like that.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Sam Adams. It doesn't matter what your age, what time frame you came up in, and all of that, and how old you were, whatever. Sam Adams seems to be the global answer to most everybody's, even people we've talked to that are in their 60s and 70s. Sam Adams was the most of the time is the go-to. So
well, the first they were like there weren't a lot of breweries in the 80s, right?
No.
So Jim Cook,
Sam on the East Coast, Sierra Nevada on the West Coast.
Sierra Nevada, Ken Grossman. I mean, Red Hook. There's a lot of spots that were definitely in that that class of first 80s brewers that really kind of paved the way.
Absolutely. So there you go. Yeah, cool. What was the first? You talked about like these aha moments or whatever. What was the first thing, and not necessarily beer by any means? Well, a specific beer anyway. What was the first thing that got you like into, all right, this is for me? Not even just talking about your business or I need to open a brewery kind of a thing, or I'm brewing now. Just that, all right, beer is it. I'm drinking beer. I'm a beer drinker, that kind of a thing. What was the what first got you into the whole industry, even if it was just as a consumer part of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely. I mean, you're right. There's a difference. I think because my folks were, definitely, early craft beer drinkers, and they always that was the beer at the house. They were wine drinkers, but there was beer that was going to be the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was always that set a standard for me a little bit. So, like I said, my first time going into I don't want to call anyone out in the show, but in my college town with the ID that wasn't mine, going in and trying to buy, that was that was why I went to that style. Sure. That being said, I think I had my first, what got me into the industry was homebrewing, and then, led to working at breweries. But I remember going up to a spot in Maine. Maybe you guys have been there, Ebenezer's, and this was back in like 2007, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I remember going there for the first time, and I'd read about them, and I knew, from like when Rate Beer and stuff like that were more like the forums that you would go on. Sure. And I remember going there and having really my first like lambic and my first goose. And, I went there for that specific purpose because at this time, at least in the East Coast, that was really where you went in New England. Sure. To get these styles of beers. They weren't being imported as regular as they are. And not realizing I was talking to, Chris Lively, the owner, this guy who's been like knighted by the Belgian government. I would end up, kind of shooting the shit with him for quite a bit, and getting all jazzed up and trying some of these beers. And that's when I was like, yeah, this is the industry. This is something that I need to have, and I need to drink this more often. And I think that opening that world of a whole different style that I wasn't even aware of yet when I was, 22 years old at the time was probably my into the industry in terms of like, this is what I want to drink. Gotcha. And I want to do it more. Gotcha.
That's awesome. You were actually BSing with him for a while in that situation. That's awesome.
Well, as a young guy too. Like, I mean, if you guys have been there before, mm-hmm. Ebenezer's.
I have not.
You haven't been to Ebenezer's? I thought you were.
No. Mm-hmm.
John, what about you? Have you been
to
the? Yeah. So you're well aware, and especially I had a flip phone in 2007 or whatever it was. This wasn't like you can go on. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and it's on like this golf course. You pull up, and I read all this shit online about it, and I get in there, and I'm kind of getting my bearings a little bit. Like, am I really in the right spot? I had like the actual GPS on the car, not like, like, I'm like, I think this is what it says. Right. And then going in there,
this is right.
Okay, yeah. This is it. And, you see the beer list and it was, and not knowing who I'm even talking to at the time, who was, was definitely a guy that definitely brought a lot of Belgian style beers to this country. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people would make that homage just, up to Ebenezer's to get to try Cantillon and Trefontaine and beers like that, obviously now with the internet and trading and just the amount of imports that we have access to, it wasn't like that then. So you would have to go to spots that really
you had to pick and choose where you were going to go to get any of that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Not to change the subject really quick, we got a couple of things. Tony Drury, howdy from Durango, Colorado.
Durango, Colorado. Him and his horse.
Yes.
Or is he the horse? He's the horse.
He's the horse. Yeah,
He's the horse.
He's the horse. Yeah. He's the horse with the guitar. Yes, that's funny. And Brian Alt. Cheers, Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
Cheers, guys.
Both of you. All right. Cool. All right. When did you first start brewing? I mean, you like you said, you have a whole family history of. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So my when I was 19 years old, my uncle was a home brewer, and he had kids. And that, like any hobby, that kind of goes to the wayside. Mm-hmm. And I came home from college. We were down in Maryland visiting family, and I was picking my uncle's brain a little bit. And he's like, well, if you're into it, you can just take all my homebrew stuff. And, I wasn't old enough to buy beer, but I was like, fuck, I can make it. Right. So I took over his homebrew, and I made my first batch of, I don't even want to say what it was, but came out terrible. But we all drank it, and all my college roommates, we finished it in like a single night. And I was kind of like, first of all, that was a lot of work. I was like cleaning all the bottles and the sink and doing all the things.
Sanitize.
Yeah, and it was, but it definitely, I caught a bug at that point, and I was like, wow, this is pretty fun. And I started getting a little bit more, I didn't want to just make the standard whatever and what was on the recipe. I'm like, well, why can't I go? We have this great farmers market. Why can't I go get some some fresh raspberries they're from this local this local farm? And it started up something, and this is in New Hampshire, and there was a brewery that I don't know how I found out about them, but it was a nano brewery, and this is probably in 2008 when nano breweries were still maybe not quite a thing yet.
Right.
We know now what a nano brewery is, but and this guy it was called Squam Lakes Brewing. This guy John was not much older than I was. He was probably in his late 20s. He had left his engineering job and was brewing in his parents' barn, and everything was bottle conditioned, and he was doing stuff. And I started going and just kind of helping him a little bit. Just volunteering on like a packaging day or something and helping them, cap bottles or whatever. It was very hands-on. And at the time there was an apprentice program. There's a brewery called White Birch Brewing.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's owned by a different person now, and it's a little bit different focus than what it was when I was there. When I was there, it was very Belgian focused. They had a wild beer program. It was a lot of sours, and this was exactly what I really wanted to do. I really liked the idea of spontaneous mixed fermentation, things like yeast. I was going to school for environmental science, and I just thought this is pretty rad. So I ended up working there for a bit and through grad school. And after graduate school, I kind of thought like there was a couple different roads to go on, and had a job lined up at a brewery, or could maybe take a job in the field that I just did 6 years of schooling to do after graduate. So I kind of decided maybe I should try out this field, and decided to not to kind of leave the beer industry. And I was the executive director of the Lake Placid Land Conservancy, which is what it's called now. And great, loved everything, loved that town. We were just talking about it before the show started. I love this. I made most of my life decisions kind of based around skiing. So that was perfect. I could, get first track, still make office hours. It worked out.
Not a bad thing to do. Yeah.
Not a bad thing to do. But, I got there and I kind of found myself, to be honest with you, like sometimes I finished my entire week's worth of work and like by Tuesday, and I'd be like, what? It was a job that I was certainly passionate about what we were doing.
It left you a lot more time to ski, though.
And it left me some more time to ski, but also, my mind wandering a bit. But so the office building I was in was also shared by Chris Erickson, who owns Lake Placid Pub and Brewery. He also owns Big Slide, and he's got a new project he's doing in Saranac Lake right now. And we would have some beers, and he knew I was a kind of former brewer, and we started shooting the shit a little bit more often. And it was kind of what I kind of needed to be like, yeah, I do really need to get back to this industry. And, I kind of came to one and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting a brewery. And he was like, that's great. And, he pretty much, to be honest with you, gave me his numbers. He started sharing information and became quite an advisor for my business development when I was kind of pitching this out to banks. And I would definitely say he definitely was certainly a catalyst for getting me back into the industry and helped me out. We're great friends now. And but yeah, it was definitely it was interesting to have this kind of web of different paths to get just back to kind of where I wanted to go anyway.
Sure, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, John knows I love that place.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a staple.
I think my favorite New York beer.
What was one of your favorites? Was it your favorite?
No, I think it was number one.
Your favorite was number
one. What was it? Ubu? What was it?
Ubu.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I explained to everybody, you can see it on the shelves and the bottles. That's not really Ubu. You have to be drinking it in the brew pub.
Yeah. See, bro, when he was up there, he actually brought back a crowler, and we actually did a beer dinner with Carton Brewing.
Cool.
At a local place in North Jersey, and we did the show live from there. We actually drank one of the beers we drank on the show wasn't Carton, was actually Ubu. So
that's awesome.
Augie's
also an OG guy too. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Appreciation for Chris and Augie. We're definitely another kind of round of people that came into the industry at that similar time.
Absolutely, and just remember, don't say his name again.
No,
Yeah.
you said
His
it
name
twice
again.
already. You say it 3 times.
The third time you say it, he appears on the show.
That's fair. Okay.
So, but
Like some sort of witchcraft.
yeah, that's a long story. I'll tell you about it later. But in any event, running joke. No, Augie's great. Yeah, he's
Oh,
fun.
you
He's
just-
like,
You just
oh,
said
I
it.
did say it,
That's it.
didn't I?
You just said it.
Damn it. Let me text him really
Hopefully-
quick. Don't come on the show.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is it 3 times in general, or one person has to say it 3 times? I'm not
I think
quite
it's
sure.
3 times in general. I don't know. Maybe it's like Bloody Mary.
I
Where
don't
it has
know.
to be the same person.
Exactly. All right. So
And you're-
Chris can't say it again. I can't say it another 2 times, and you can't. Well, you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
I can say it twice. I just can't say it thrice.
Thrice, right? Exactly. All right. Anyway. All right. So you decide you want to open a brewery. So you're getting out of that. You decide you want to open a brewery. What year is this that you decide? Okay, hey, I got to do this.
It was probably between 2011 2012.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And how long did?
Well,
Okay.
say then why Glens Falls?
Yeah, so I grew up in Lake George. My folks are still living there. My parents were both teachers. My mother taught at Lake George. My dad taught at BOCES, which is a vocational school. And I started kind of developing this business plan, and very quickly, having the industry kind of knowledge that I had, prior to opening, realizing that there was, we needed to be somewhat sizable to do this from day one. I didn't want to be, as much as I have an appreciation for, doing it maybe as a nano brewery from day one.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted to have a little bit more volume from day one. So
Sure.
I was kind of realizing that I was probably going to need, being only 26 years old when we opened, or whatever it was when we started, not a lot of banks are going to take me too seriously. Having, I've just basically been either in school or graduate school or working for not a lot at a brewery.
Mhm.
So I started kind of, the search of a business partner. And my father was just getting ready to retire, or had just retired actually, and was working for, Cornell Cooperative Extension, kind of part-time, kind of figuring out what he wanted to do next. And my mom, my dad, and I went on a biking trip together. And, I was kind of fleshing out this idea with them, like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving this position. They're like, what? You just had this big merger. It's this great career, and you're the director. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not stimulated by this. I think what's making me happy is something else. And, the more we talked about it, my mother really kind of hooked my dad in, and she was kind of like, you guys are perfect. You guys get along great. You guys love, doing things together. You're looking for something next that you're not stimulated either, this is perfect. And,
Mom.
he got involved, and, we threw this, business plan together and went and pitched it to the first bank. And it was like, if you could have been kicked harder in the crotch, I don't know what else. It would have been like to get like pretty much like, yeah, this is great. I don't think this is for us, And, we weren't bringing this like big, bank account to the table. It
Sure.
wasn't just like, unfortunately, we didn't, we weren't part of the Weber dynasty of girls there. So, you
should have told me you were.
Yeah, I should have told me we were. And so, we, after pitching to banks, because, we wanted to buy this building, wanted to, have this bigger system, all these things. And this one bank guy who tried hard and it just didn't get through underwriting was like, you guys should really go to SCORE, which is this free business counseling service through the SBA. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, okay, whatever, like now I've left this job pretty much, or put my notice in. I got to do something here. And we ended up working with this kind of great team of people. And you know what? Sometimes it's who you know, right? And not realizing the person who we were talking with happened to be kind of a guy at the time before he was retired that knew some bank execs and stuff. And he ended up he's like, all right, we're gonna pitch to this bank now. And I was like, well, just one bank? Why not like 10 banks? What are we doing? I've been laughed out of 10 banks. I need more than one. He's like, no, we're gonna go to this bank. I think they're gonna be good. And I did my normal spiel, and I was like, oh, so I'm Christian. This is my resume, and here's our ideas, and we're gonna do all these different beers. And they're like, okay, I think we can get behind this. And then I was kind of like, wait, what? And that was crazy. That was in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
We hooked the bank. We bought this building, and we closed on the bank loan on February 6th, 2014. There was like a government shutdown in 2013. Some other stuff happened.
Right.
And February 6th, we literally, after the bank closing, my dad and brother-in-law and I walked into the brewery, or what was the brewery, and put a sledgehammer through one of the walls. And I don't think we had more than 10 days off until December 19th, 2014, when we opened our doors. And when I say it was a community effort, I always say Common Roots is built on community. And it really is. And I can say a lot more of that now, obviously, from some things that happened in history. But, my father was, working, being a vocational teacher. All these other vocational teachers came in with helping us out in the trades, with plumbing, electrical, and, all these family members and friends that came out of nowhere that got so excited about, hey, these guys are going to open a brewery in this town. So it was, it was like, wow, this is, we were just overwhelmed by this community support that happened before we opened. And then, we opened, and it just continued from there. So it was always part of our kind of ethos to, to be kind of entwined in the community, and, the greater South Glens Falls, Saratoga, they've been so good to us. And it's, the capital region's a great part of New York, and we couldn't be happier to be here. Yeah.
That's awesome. It really is. It's a great story. There's a shitty part to the story, though.
Before you even say it, I got to tell you a story. So I was on a podcast on the West Coast, right? And we were like, so I did a pre-interview a week or so before with this girl, and I was going through, and she's like, okay, questions. I was like, yeah, we can talk about that, and if you want after that, we can talk about the fire and then move on. And she's like, okay, great. So the host then reads the pre-interview questions, and he had no idea about the fire. And he's like, okay, yes, this and that. He brewed here, okay. And then he's like, fire. He's like, WTF? Like, I didn't know what it's like. He was going through it. I was like, and it was so funny to have that. Reading all these interviews, and then like, boom, fire. But anyway,
that's.
Sure, John, I interrupted you, but yeah.
No.
Ask what you're gonna ask.
No, it's all good. That is pretty funny, actually. In an odd way, but yeah, it's yeah. So okay, so what was it? The beginning, or was it March of 2019? Right.
Yeah. So
you're at the brewery. You're in your office, and you smell something, and go for it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because how you're on your phone or whatever, you get these like time hop pictures.
Yep.
Pop up.
Sure.
So the weekend, the fire was on a Monday. The weekend, Sunday, Thursday through Sunday. Prior to that Monday, we were in Indiana at Uplands Brewing doing like a sour beer fest.
Okay.
And so
they do it in March. Yeah.
We had a bunch of pictures from that just popped up, and I was like, wow, how crazy is that? Because when I was taking those pictures, I had no idea that
that Monday
my life would change the following day.
I know what you mean.
Days after, but yeah. So in my office, start smelling some stuff, walking around, not figuring out what it was, and we had a boiler vent malfunction, and there was basically in the chase behind my office where the vent stacks ran up through, a vent had just malfunctioned, and it was spewing basically exhaust fumes into the chase, and that only had so much time it could do that before it would ignite. And it ignited, and I started seeing basically black smoke behind my head. And we were full tap room, probably max capacity, doing like a trivia night or something like that.
Hey.
And we got everyone out. I remember looking down. We had this like mezzanine where offices were, and I looked down the spiral staircase, and like I said, bartender looked, and I'm sure he saw like the panic on my face. I'm like, "There's fire! You need to get everyone out." And everyone was out of the facility pretty quickly. And, I go downstairs to where I can look up through the chase, and I like an idiot, I grab a hose, and that's, obviously not going to do anything at that point. And then I start being like, okay, I need to get shit out of here. So we had just done this collab with KCBC, and we had just moved it to a blending tank. The blending tank was actually on wheels. So I wheel it out, I grab the fork truck. I'm grabbing like a pallet or whatever. And then, I fire person came in and was like, hey, Christian, you got to get out of here. And then within not too long, the brewery was gone. Yeah, the whole thing burned. No one was hurt, thank God. And that's really all that matters.
That's all
For
that
that,
matters.
yeah.
That's
All that matters. No first responders were hurt. Nothing. Everything was, it was just a building.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it was a tough night.
Yeah, that was when I first heard about it. Even a couple of days later, I was actually at the time managing a bar in North Jersey, and I brought you in a couple of times from Remarkable or whatever, and the Remarkable rep told me what happened, and I actually wanted to do some sort of a collaboration with you. But when I first heard that it hit home, we'll leave it at that. I'll tell you later. But story for later. We don't have to bore everybody. The show's about you and not me. But
anybody who watched the show from the Cloverleaf has heard this story.
Yeah, this is true too. So we'll talk about that later. But in any event, the most important thing is that nobody got hurt.
Absolutely.
You can replace fermenters. You can replace beer,
and you had good insurance.
Yeah. So there you go. So
sure. Things you don't think about till you need it, right?
No, exactly.
I mean, yes. I mean, it was wild. I mean, I remember having a real oh shit moment. We had just broken ground on an expansion. We acquired the property next to us. Literally, the foundation was being poured the next day for phase 1 of this expansion. It was like they had the footings in because that 8 a.m. the cement trucks were going to start coming to pour all the concrete and whatever. And we were growing. We had new bigger tanks. All of a sudden now we had a staff that we had benefits for, health insurance. We paid their families on our health insurance plan, all that stuff. Sure. And I remember just thinking like, oh my God, like what are we gonna do? Like this is everything. You know what I mean? I cashed in my retirement to do this, and now it affects other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember having this I had 2 pretty big breakdowns. I haven't really talked about this too much, but one was I went and sat with the fire New York State fire inspection team. They come up always to make sure, figure out what happened basically. And I got into their kind of makeshift, looks like an ambulance, but it's actually an office. It's kind of weird.
Right.
And I remember just being like, just kind of breaking down for a minute, and they gave me a couple of seconds. They're still putting, they're still walking around poking shit to see if it's on fire. And then,
it's called overhaul, but
yes,
whatever it is. And I remember that was one. And then, we went, I went home that whatever time it was, like 4 a.m. You know what I mean? And got, an hour or 2 of sleep before having to go back. My lawyer's like, oh, he stayed at the scene, whatever. And I was about to leave, and I was like kind of looking at my wife about to walk out the door, and I just kind of collapsed, and I just started crying. It was like it just felt very overwhelming. Like I don't know what to do now.
It is.
I don't know what to do.
There's nothing out of the normal that you did.
Yeah.
There's no way to prepare yourself for that, and there's no
It
way
is.
to know how to deal with it anyway. So I mean, it's just something that happens.
It happens. And you know what? That was a big thing. Like, we had a little powwow at that point, with my wife and I, and like, guess what? The hardest part's already done.
It is. It really is. It really, really is. You're absolutely right.
Gone. Now we just got to start.
Now, okay, where do we go?
Now we go, and it became like, okay, now it's power mode. And we got there, and our insurance turns out was wonderful, and we didn't, everything was kind of great in that regards, and no one, it was very clear that we were able to kind of do stuff. We were able to, kind of make through this. And then I remember we had not the next day, but the following day at my folks' house, we had a meeting with all staff. We had everyone come over. We got breakfast, delivered, whatever, bagels and shit, And I just remember telling everyone, like, hey, don't worry. We're going to keep you all on payroll. It's all going to be good. Nothing's going to change. We're going to open a temporary spot. It's all going to be good. And the meeting was, it was emotional, but people needed to hear that,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember I talked to my lawyer after, and he was like, oh, we got to meet with this person. I said, okay, I just had a great staff meeting. I told them all, we're going to keep them on payroll. And it was like, wait, what'd you tell them? And I was like, well, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And he was like, I don't know if that's in our insurance policy. We can't front all this stuff. And I was like, Matt, that's just what we're going to do, man. That's just what happens. We're going to figure that part out. And, it isn't, because insurance, people don't realize that it's for, the insurance, doesn't always cover everyone. It might cover some, executives or managers or something, but it doesn't always cover the whole entire company.
Right.
And that was like, didn't matter to us. Doesn't matter if you wash kegs for us, or you run our sales department. It doesn't matter. That's just, everyone's a part of this family here. So we're going to make this work regardless. And, there was, you said there's something, collaboration, something we want to do. That's when we were absolutely humbled by the world.
Right.
The craft beer industry, the local, everything just came out of the woodworks, and there was these multiple festivals. There was like beers that were being brewed, and we ended up raising like $70,000 just for our staff to make sure and that's where we allotted everything just to our staff, and it really did, because we went from kind of a sizable brewery doing, at the time, we were doing maybe 5,000 barrels a year when we burned, and had a fair amount of people, and went down to basically a tap room brewing on a 3-barrel system, and it wasn't, that isn't sustainable. So it was incredibly humbling, because you don't always get to see that sort of support. Sometimes it happens, someone passes away, and then you're not there to even see it,
Right.
and to see that, and especially be on the receiving side of that was very, it was very new to us. And it was also just incredibly, we're just incredibly humbled by it.
Yep. And rightfully so. And it is very humbling. Again, we'll talk later, but, whatchamacallit, the craft beer community too, other breweries and everything rally around you too, as well, from,
oh yeah, we got calls from breweries in California. It was crazy. Like, oh my God, we heard what happened. You know what I mean? It was overwhelming. And yeah, it made us, it was, you make lemonade out of lemons, right? And we have this beautiful state-of-the-art facility. Everyone says, oh, look at the beautiful space you got now. And I'm like, I always envision, I got a little 8-month-year-old, and I always envisioned walking around the brewery and pointing to him to everything that, Grandpa and I did together. And that was gone in a second.
It's gone.
And
it's gone.
It's different because we did everything ourselves, and now we have this.
But you got some pictures, right?
We got pictures, we got enough stuff, and this place is crazy now. Yeah. But it's not how I wanted to do it. I would say that. Of course not. And if I could ever, people were like, well, but look what you got now. And it's like, it's not the same.
It's never in the business plan.
No, you can't put that in. You can't put that in the business plan. And if you do, somebody's going to be like, "What?
Wait a second, you planned on this?"
Yeah.
And that inspection would have gone entirely differently.
Totally different.
Sure.
Totally different. So, anyway, but okay. So insurance kicks in. You guys are brewing in the 3-barrel system. You in another location. You redevelop the original location, and now you are
How large?
Yeah, we're here. We're brewing. We're expanding. We're in the process of putting another facility in right next door. Actually,
nice.
Centered more around packaging, and we're moving our wild brewing program over there
separately. Yeah, that's good.
And then also having some more on premise.
What size system did you have in the old location?
So it's ironic. Because we were expanding. We had all the plans. So, my wife's company makes all of our equipment, which is
wait, what was that again? Say that again.
My wife's company makes all of our equipment in the brewery. So
all of your brewing equipment.
All of our brewing equipment, our packaging line, our brew house, our cellar, you name it. Our pilot system.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's called Fraunhofer Design. She's now Melanie Weber, but she used to be Melanie Fraunhofer. Her father started a company 40 years ago, and her brother now runs the kind of fabrication machine company, and she runs their design engineering firm.
Very nice.
And so we have a 30-barrel, which was actually already in the works, fully automated. It's kind of crazy.
You have that now.
We do 30, 60, and 90-barrel batches.
Gotcha.
Prior to the fire, we were doing 20 and 60-barrel batches at the brewery, and
you had a 20-barrel brew house and you triple.
No, man, we had a 10-barrel brew house.
Really?
So
you doubled, and.
Oh man, we brewed 4 times, and then twice. We would either brew 30 barrels and then 30 barrels, or we brew 40
and 20.
Start, hit it with a prop, and get it over. It was a lot. It was a lot to do that, but we were just trying to keep up. There was beer to be made. We were trying to do it.
That's dedication to do that.
With dedication, I also get a little like I'm sure like all like brewer owners do. I mean, it's nice to fill tanks, but it's like you get a little like antsy. I don't want to, as much as I appreciate. We have some core beers that we produce a lot of, but the creative side, I don't always want to see every tank filled with that beer.
No.
So those 60s were basically a necessary thing for us at that earlier time to put in so that I could make sure we had 8 20-barrel fermenters at that point. I was like, I don't want them filled with Good Fortune or some of our bigger IPAs or things that get widely, distributed, or we do big can release stuff. I'm like, I want to keep those for fun stuff,
Sure.
So that was kind of part of that, was to make sure
yeah.
that we could still keep our creative kind of tail wagging.
So now you have a 30-barrel brew house, you do 30, 60, 90 batches.
Yep.
But so what do you do for the smaller batches? You do 30s, or you do?
We have a 3-barrel.
You have a 3-barrel system.
Almost fully automated. It's like a semi-automated system.
Is this the 3-barrel system you used at the other location while you were?
It actually pseudo survived the fire. The garage door of the main garage door, when you looked at our old facility, fell on it and
protected it.
It protected it, crushed it, but it only crushed all the hard piping. So that was pretty easy to replace.
Replace it, yeah.
But the thing was intact. We had to replace, obviously, some control panels and some stuff, but it was definitely within, it was from the fire till the day we opened. The temporary space was like a 6-week, time frame. And my wife's company, my other side of the family, had it ready for us, and it was good to go. And that was super fun. Yeah, I mean, the brewers, there's a lot of brewers brewing on 3-barrel. Because we have 5 guys at a time,
right.
So one guy does this,
right.
guy does that.
Or you pour that big you pour that big of malt in the grist, and then right.
But it was maybe a transition point too of where I was having a hard time. It was like a therapy session, guys. I was having a hard time realizing that my role wasn't going to be making
what it was. Yeah.
And it became this and that was a very natural time for me to kind of transition out of maybe, I was still keeping myself on a shift a week at that point, mashing in, just to kind of keep, I don't want to not be that brewer. I understand I'm the owner of the company, but I also want to be, I want to be a brewer. That's really what it is. So, but if
first love in the business,
it is. And as much as like every other aspect of it, it's really what I love the most. So that was a really natural break where all of a sudden, I had to have 100% concentration now on, dealing with insurance, dealing with, getting a new bank loan, and then also, building this new, state-of-the-art facility. And so there wasn't time for me to also knuckle around the back making beer with all the guys who also could be there. So it was a kind of a natural break. I'm still very, very involved on the creative process. And, but it's when we put this new brewery in, I brewed for the first 3 months, taking the first shift to make sure that, I know how to run everything in this facility. And B, I also want to be able to instruct the brewers then too, on this is how this new brew house works. This is how it is. And, to kind of keep, my chops. The other day, actually, we had a couple brewers out on vacation, and our operations manager was doing something, and we're like, oh, we don't want to miss this brew day, blah, blah. And I was like, I'll bash in. And they all kind of looked at me and I was like, get the hell out of here. Of course I can do that, So I came in, took the first shift. Our first shift starts at 4:35, and depending on the brewer, I would say. But so I got there at 4:30. Got everything going. I'm not gonna lie, it had been 6 months since I had operated that particular brew house. And I was like, there's no effing way I can text the brewer right now, or I'm gonna look like an asshole. And I was trying to think, I'm like, yeah, I got this. And I was everything worked out totally well. I was good. Well, it was a great reminder of you gotta keep your, bearings going.
You got it, yeah, absolutely.
You have to. So, and honestly now I'm a lot more I'm very much involved, like I said, on the creative piece. Always new beers. That's the part where I want to shine, where I want to make sure that they're still common root. They're Christian Weber beers that are coming out. They're kind of following. And I don't want this to be. You don't get into the beer industry to make money. there's other stuff to do, I suppose. You'll work for a bank or whatever else,
Right.
get into finance, do something different. But, so I always want to make sure we have slush funds of things to do. We were one of the first breweries in the state to have a cool ship. We've been operating it since 2014. We have a big wild beer program, and it was something that's had to take a little bit of a pause because of just, we did run probably 3 cool ship batches and filled a fooder while we were down and did some, definitely ran some barrels and flipped some, but, working out of a temporary space, it was a little bit hard to do that.
Right.
And, growing this and having different capacity, knowing that we were trying to start this other wild, have this new space for a wild facility was like, it did become a conscious moment of like, I don't want to lose the reason why we do this.
Right.
As much as I like filling big tanks of IPA, that's not why I got into the industry. It goes back to that earlier talk when we were talking about the driving up to Ebenezer's to go drink, Fafoon for the first time in my life, and having these different, these crazy beers. So, to make sure that we're still doing it for the right reasons is part of it. And like, anytime I go to a brewery, we're doing a collab, I'm just traveling and I walk in and I see a bunch of barrels sitting on the floor where it could be some big giant tank. I get really excited because I look at what a big tank can turn over and that, maybe 10 square feet of real estate can be 6-7 figures depending on the size of the tank annually, right? And the fact that those guys have chosen to take up their floor space with barrels that arguably are going to lose them money. Doesn't matter how much you'll never be able to keep up with that tank that can flip IPA or making some, puree, heavy pureed kind of sour beer, which is totally fine. I'm not knocking that at all, but it's a conscious effort to do it. And I think that that's where, I always want to make sure that we're doing things for the right reasons.
Right.
When it comes to community, but when it comes to also the industry that we so, dearly care about.
You inadvertently answered the question I had knocking around in my head, which was, given your druthers, would you rather be that small brewery that is doing the things that you want to do, being involved in the process, keeping that passion for what you do going, or that large brewery that's bringing in the money, being successful, getting the beer out there, having that name? And it sounds like you have struck yourself quite a nice, lovely balance there.
I was going to say, it's got to be a balance.
I think it's got to be a balance. I like the idea that we are sustainable in a sense that we are able to take on, have those slush fund projects of like, yeah, we should brew that beer, even though no distributor wants it. And, we're going to clean it all in house. That's a nice luxury to have, right? It's a nice luxury that we can decide to invest in. Our entire brewery is built with, local, and it's a green facility, and we have all these things. That's a luxury that's given to us, right? Like we were a sustainable enough company to spend more money to make sure that we do things that are more sustainable, that are more energy efficient, that we are using local farms in our kitchen, and we're sourcing ingredients responsibly. Those are things that, like, I don't want to get on a high horse and say, and stand on, but that's a luxury to have. And, you have to be able to sell a fair amount of IPA to be able to have that luxury. I don't want to so there is that. And, I never want to take that for granted because, there is a sense of, we're able to move some volume, which allows for us to do some other stuff. But in the same sense, the flip side is I don't know what I would do because I really love, I do love being able to, I get excited about smaller batch things that don't make any money. Keith, the guy you've been emailing up a lot, he's moving into kind of a new role of our company and he's already kind of doing some stuff, but his background was in finance. And there's plenty of times where I've come to him and I have this idea and he's like, I don't know, man, that's not going to make money, and I was like, but that's kind of okay too sometimes, it's okay.
Yeah, if it's not going to be a loser, if it's a break-even kind of a deal to do something that's a passion for you, it's a different story.
Sometimes it's okay to take a hit if it means that you're going to you're pushing your brand to the limit. You're pushing what you think is important, and if you're going to do stuff, it's a different industry than it was in 2007 when I started, starting it, and it's a different industry, even from 2020 when the pandemic started. And people think about a lot of different stuff now when they're doing, they're talking about can shortage. I did an interview with the Albany Business Review today about, the can shortage, and all this other stuff, and the price hikes for aluminum. And it's like, it's this dynamic industry. And it's pretty cool to be in it. And I think as long as everyone has their focus on what you're doing and why you're doing it, it's going to be okay. We talk about coming together. We speak to other breweries. It's such a collaborative industry. All those things are the reasons why we all chose to do it. Because what did Sam Calagione say? He said the beer industry is 99% asshole free. And I didn't agree with that statement more.
99% sounds about right. Yeah,
that's about right.
Mostly.
It is. It's mostly asshole.
There's a handful
that are the outlier.
Right.
But won't last long because you have to give a shit about what you do, and it means the quality of the product. It means staying innovative. It means supporting local. It means coming together. The rising tide floats all ships. So, Dave, that was a very long-winded way to say I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would want to be keep it small because I love all the things that we get to do, having a little bit more volume. But I also like that it affords us the ability to do some stuff. That's
a good balance. A good balance is a good answer to that question.
And it sounds like you're satisfying both itches.
There you go.
I think so. It's cool. We got this kind of fun little playground to brew on now. We got this big wild program. We got a lot of wood fermentation. We have this 3-barrel. We got this bigger production system. So it is in terms of just like, if I look back at the 19-year-old home brewer and I was like, hey, man, you want to go and brew here all the time? And it's like, yeah, okay.
I would like that. Yes.
And even those ones that you may be losing money on, it's going to build a reputation for yourself.
Yep.
You get the beer nerds like John and myself and everyone that's commented on the show today.
Here's another one. Hold on. Gene just said, good evening, gents. There you go.
Good evening, Gene. He was mentioned earlier in the show. We will travel to places.
Sure.
And when you get to, when you've been in the craft beer as a consumer, as long as we have, you're looking for that different stuff.
Yep.
IPA is an IPA. I mean, unless you've done something really special and it's going to knock my socks off, it's an IPA. And there's some great IPAs. I say here, sitting with a beer fridge full of Julius. So it's a little, hypocritical there, but it's that different stuff that you look for.
Exactly.
Like you said, you had one of the first cool ships in New York. You don't get a lot of cool ship ales out there.
No.
So
you really don't.
Looking for that stuff, the different flavors. You open the show up with a Keller beer. Not a lot of breweries are doing Kellers, and you're doing it yearly. And that's awesome. A wonderful thing.
It's an awesome thing.
John will always look for a Keller.
Everywhere I go, if I see a Keller beer, it's the first thing I'm having.
Usually, with me, it's a Czech lager.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's one of the first things. I'm certainly not shitting on IPAs because we.
No. You need them every now and then.
You need them.
We brew a lot of them, but I will say that, when you're traveling and you're going to a new brewery, especially one you never heard of, you're in some small town and you're like, oh, it's great, this is wonderful, and I'll look at them and I'm like, oh, cool, they have hazy IPA, they have this fruit sour, that's great, and then I see they have their whatever lager.
Right.
I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want to try. Because I'm maybe a little bit overly exposed to hops, like every brewer says. But that being said, is what lagers are very polarizing. There's not a lot to hide behind. And
no.
To brew a really clean, crisp lager is,
Sean Locklito.
You leave it on the table right there.
Yeah, it was. We've said it for years, and Sean said it on the show.
Yeah, Sean Locklito said it.
If you want to prove to me that you're a great brewer, brew a lager. Brew a good lager.
Brew a good lager.
Yep.
There you go. I was just gonna say, I'll look for a Keller beer. I'll look for a Kolsch. I will look for a Chasing Night. The next time you brew Chasing Night, let me know. I'm just gonna get in the car that day and drive up to Glens Falls.
Oh man.
Don't tell Keith that. I am a Schwartz beer whore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not that is not an underestimation right there. That's not an understatement whatsoever.
Yeah, not at all. But you know what? There's been like a movement. I mean, like I've seen a lot lately. There's been a lot more Schwartz beers lately than there have been in the past, recent past anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of dark Czech lagers lately too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of breweries are making basically
the aforementioned
Czech
Rover.
Schwartz beers. Rover, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Rover.
Sure.
We just all opened our second beers.
We did. And we had we didn't say anything of what they were here. We'll just put them up. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Chris is drinking Common Roots Lager.
Common Roots
There we
Lager.
go. There we
Beautiful.
Had
go.
to
Cheers.
do the show. Had to show some respect here for the lager guys. You know.
There you go.
We're not drinking lagers.
No, we're not. Samurai's drinking Dogs of War from Carton Brewing. I'm not going to say the first name of the
I'm going the wrong direction here. See, I'm having problems with
There you
the direction.
Dogs of War.
This thing's got what? Raspberry, cacao nibs, chipotle,
There you go.
and cinnamon.
So
it's
so
kinda
so
like
so so it's a
like a
standard
raspberry
stout,
mix.
is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's standard stout.
There you
It's,
go.
it's like a Mexican stout with
Raspberries.
raspberry in it.
There you go.
Works.
And I am drinking Brunchmaster from Bunker Brewing, right there. It's a maple syrup bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with blueberries, vanilla, coconut, and cinnamon. Again, standard stout.
Yeah, standard stout. Speaking of Czech lagers, my favorite Czech lager is brewed by those guys.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, machine pills.
Machine is just
Delicious.
Machine pills is delicious. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right.
we're in Boston. I was in Boston at Tip Tap, and I ordered one beer.
You
Wasn't all
did
that
text me
fond
when
of
you
it.
were there, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like I realized, oh my God, they've got machine on. What am I doing? Just bring me a lot of those. Just
bring
keep
me
those
yeah.
coming.
Yeah, you see it low, just bring another one. All right, we're talking about beers. Let's talk about some of your flagships. Let's talk about some of the beers you're brewing. Obviously, you're brewing IPAs. You're brewing New Englands. You're brewing standard stuff. Let's talk about your flagships first. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we have an IPA called Good Fortune IPA, and it's like it's your standard kind of hazy IPA. It's like it's very. It was a beer that we never really had a core beer program at Common Roots, and this one sort of just became something that just maybe incidentally became a core IPA for us.
Can I read how I checked that in on Untapped?
Good Fortune?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Very easy to down this fucker.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. We were going to put that on the label. Actually, it's funny you said
that was the
right on the
original.
label.
That was the original name of the beer.
That was the original.
I love that. That's such an easy drinking IPA. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so
I've had it several times. It's good.
It's definitely, my mom wasn't an IPA drinker until that beer came out, and that was now it's her go-to beer.
It's her go-to. That's awesome. That's great.
So yeah, I mean we have a fair amount of IPAs. We have a lot of rotating IPAs. You talked about Coffee Cup. We have some session beers that we do. We have some ones that Common Roots is also very everyone that I would say not everyone, but a lot of people work here. We're very much, the active lifestyle, being outside, doing stuff, recreation is really important to us.
Sure.
The work-life balance is important. Like I said, I made most of my decisions based around skiing. So that was, we have beers that come out, like one's called Shreddy. It's kind of mountain bike focused. It's on a lot of the ski mountains when they do their mountain bike, their summer mountain bike. And then that same kind of skew kind of transitions in the wintertime to something called gondola session, which anyone who's ridden a ski lift has had a Gandhi session before, whether that's, having some adult beverages in the gondola or whatnot. But so, those are some things that we kind of focus, but we have a big, outside of the wild beer program, we have a big kettle sour program where we have a lot of kind of craft cocktail inspired beers that are, whether it's a beer mosa or a michelada or a beer called Give and Take, which is a big play on a gin and tonic or something. And then we have this whole series called Tasteful Deception, which is like a kind of a kettle sour with some fruit. And then we have, a pretty, some different lagers and some other stuff. We have a pretty, what I would think is a pretty balanced portfolio is, we want to make approachable beers. We want to make beers that are, if you're not a beer drinker, we still have something in your portfolio, in our portfolio. So, we do quite a bit, and but things that get widely distributed down to Jersey, we distribute to like 10 states. Is Good Fortune's a big one. We have a session series that rotates hops. So, but for some reason, Citrus Session seems to be the one that we ended up brewing the most of, and then lager, our kind of house lager, is also a beer that gets out there quite a bit.
Nice. That's awesome.
I'm going through my check-ins on that day, and I seem to be pretty IPA heavy on that. Space,
IPA, did you say?
hazy IPAs,
Hazy
but
IPA.
Space I
Or
really
IPA,
like.
if you were.
IPA.
There you go. Like I told you, next time you brew chasing night, let me
Chasing
know. I'll
night.
just drive it. Next time you basically just said next time you release Give and Take, let me know. I'll drive up for that as well.
Yo, all right, I can make that happen.
It's not that bad of a drive, actually.
No. I can.
Depends on when you hit Albany.
This is true. Yeah. You got to
gotta
gauge
time
your
it.
timing in the morning, and get up. Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with
Oh,
that.
another one I liked on that tasting was Super Ultra Modern American.
Yeah, that's a funny beer. So it started off at the kind of original year of brewing as a pale ale called Modern American. It was kind of like a little bit of me being facetious, saying like, here's a sort of a not normal pale ale. Here's like something that became like a West Coast style that maybe wasn't quite, we weren't saying that word yet. Pale ale, so I called it like a Modern American pale. And then we're like, oh, we should do one that's like double dry hops. And that's before every beer was double dry hopped. When people were like putting it on their label, it's like, oh, we should call it, Ultra Modern American. And then like every, other asshole, we're like, oh, we should have an IPA then called, Super Ultra Modern. And then, double Super Ultra. And then it just became this like, now we just kind of keep making jokes of it and just keep increasing the hops and ABV of it and making the bigger sister every time.
Yeah,
and hitting the thesaurus for another word.
For another adjective to put in front
Yeah,
of it.
we say super duper even more. Yeah.
Exactly. So double dry hop, then triple, and just keep going. Quadruple, quintuple, sextuple.
Yeah, so we did.
We continuously dry hop this beer for 2 weeks.
At a certain point, it's going back to Sam Calagione. It's going to be the continuously.
Continuously, his is continuously hopped in the boil. Yours is continuously dry hopped. You just keep.
That's true.
You just keep dropping muslin bags in the fermenter.
That's it.
For
I get
2
that
weeks.
old football set that use that shaker thing above the fermenter. And
just keep shaking more.
Oh God, that football! Oh my God, my brother and I spent so much time playing that game, and it's just pointless.
Yeah, you just keep shaking more. Yeah, more in. Yeah, it's good. Gotta love it. All right, let's talk about your. What? Go ahead.
Before you get there, one thing we haven't, and I love to ask this question, John, because I always love the etymology of the breweries.
Of course, go for it.
Common roots.
Why common roots?
How'd you pick the name?
My mom picked it, right? And
look at her.
She did, and so
cheers, Mom.
Cheers, Mom.
Mom, we're back to the psychology session here.
We are, yeah. I love it.
Tell us about your mom.
She, when we decided we were going to do the brewery, we're like, oh, what do you the natural next step is what are we going to call it,
Yep.
And that's a hard thing, and it must be even harder now. I don't even know. It's
really hard now. We've heard many stories of people having to go through the databases to try to figure out a name that's not taken already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if I was like, oh, we're going to call it the Beer Samurai Brewing Company, and then I go and Google it, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's already that out there. So we got to a point where I was.
I guarantee you, Jersey Johnny's Brew Works is not taken.
Well, you better, if you're going to do it, you better get that going. Because it got to the point where it was awkward. We had,
Beer Samurai's not taken either.
We had the bank loan. We were already doing, to start. And I was like, we don't have a name yet.
Yeah, really.
And, distributors are starting to talk to us and everyone's like, oh, tell us what the name is.
So you had a corporate name. You didn't have a DBA yet.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry.
Well, kind of, yeah. And it got to a point where it was kind of awkward. We had to come up with something. So we had all our kind of maybe sitting there, and my mom had brought that up, months prior, Common Roots, and I was like, And maybe it's because my mom and I just didn't want to, hear any advice. But the more we talked about it, we were developing this business plan. Things that were really important to us were, community. We talked a lot about doing things, grassroots and local and, our family's heritage and all this other stuff. And, we kept coming back and we ended up using, Common Roots. And we're like, oh, man, of course.
Your family does have common roots, too. So there you go.
It worked out. So that ended up coming together. And I kind of sketched something out and sent it over to a buddy of mine who was who was a graphic designer, and we kind of went back and forth. And the original logo, which is still our logo, kind of was developed, and that was it. We were like, all right,
Nice.
off to the races. Let's do this now.
You know, it's
awesome.
neat. I did Google Samurai Brewing, and the first return was Great Divide Samurai, their rice lager.
Of course.
The second return is actually my Facebook homepage.
Well, there you go, man.
I would imagine that you're good then. I wouldn't even call it Samurai Brewing. I would call it The Beer Samurai. Period.
It's
That's
period.
it.
It's period.
Just done. Just
Right there.
The Beer Samurai. Done.
Emphasis on the.
Yeah.
The
Like the Ohio State. The Beer Samurai.
Don't even get me started on that crap.
I know
The
you're an Oklahoma fan. I get it.
Yes, I am in
I
Oklahoma.
know.
And Michigan upset them over the weekend.
There you go.
Way to go, boys.
they did.
And what was that? What was it?
Oklahoma lost Oklahoma State. Don't bring it up.
Oh yeah. Oh no. they said on I guess it was Sunday night, right? Because the Ravens played the Browns on Sunday night, and Chris Collinsworth says this weekend Harbaugh's 2, Ohio 0.
Nice.
So it's pretty funny. Anyway, all right.
No, I was rooting for Cleveland in that, but that's beside the point.
I was rooting for Cleveland too. I don't
for the same reasons, because the Giants have only lost one Super Bowl.
Giants have lost one Super Bowl to the Ravens, so I don't like the Ravens. Done. Yeah. So
That's fair.
It's fair enough, right?
Now, are you a Buffalo fan or?
I'm a Giants fan, and
Awesome.
my mom has a lot. My mom's whole side of family is from Maryland, and they're all season ticket holders at for Baltimore, and that was tough. That was obviously not a fun evening for me.
No, probably not.
No, it wasn't a fun evening for me. I actually broke the side light of my front door.
All right, fair enough.
Not intentionally.
Yeah, that's a Christian.
When Kerry Collins threw his 19th interception in that game, I kicked my sneaker that was sitting and it hit off the corner of the wall, went down the front stairs, and hit perfectly my side light and cracked it. I'm like, damn.
Yikes!
So I didn't even bet on the damn game, and it cost me $300.
One of the most fun things to do on a Sunday is watch John's Facebook page as he just goes off on the Giants and the referees.
Yeah.
It's just, and what we were talking earlier on it being National Moose Day, and I made that joke about moose balls. His posts are just ladled. Oof, not ladled. Riddled with moose balls. And
you were saying laden and riddled at the same time, and it came out laden.
It's just moose balls and poo emojis.
There you go. Yeah,
that's
pretty much the Giants, though. I mean, when you come right down to it, right?
That's fair. That's
hit the nail on the head with that one.
We used to. I used to run a John Fladung over under, where we would hide the post from him and we'd do an over under of how many times he said this, did this, complained about this, and people would bet on it, and he would always blow it out the water.
Yeah. The best way to go is just go with the over every time. It didn't matter. It depended on the game too, right? I mean, if the Giants just came out of the gate, which is rare, came out of the gate and won from they were ahead and there was no issues and there was no BS with the refs and there were no turnovers and this and that. Yeah, then it was an easy day. I posted maybe twice, that kind of a thing. But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're engaged at that point. You don't need to post.
Right. You don't need to post. Yeah.
Well,
anyway, exactly. This is not about football.
This is not about football. That's tomorrow night.
So John, I interrupt the question that you were going to.
I was just going to say, let's talk about the foundation. I want to talk about the Common Roots Foundation.
Well, it's funny you guys mentioned National Day because today is actually Giving Tuesday.
It is Giving Tuesday.
It is Giving Tuesday. So I would, as much as it's fun to support all the different mooses of the world, it's also a great day to support your local nonprofit that might need, or local charity that needs something. But the foundation was something that my father and I wanted to start before, from basically day one of a business plan. We wanted.
So this is pre-fire. You wanted to start a foundation.
Pre-fire, yeah, sure. And it was also, part of us, going into business was that, we wanted sustainability is really important, and it's not just putting solar panels on your roof or whatever. It's also being, a good community member. And it means that being a sustainable member of your community and supporting other businesses,
Absolutely.
your customers doing stuff that, other organizations. So when it was always something that we had in the works, and there was probably, one night a week, if not, I hate to say more, but like there was always some, hey, this night we're doing this for this local organization, or we're doing these, there's going to be a raffle for gift baskets, or we're doing $1 for every pint going to this. There was always something like that happen. And we kind of felt like really good about that aspect, but it was like, we always in the back of our heads were like, we could do more than this, and it should be part of our structure as a company within our business plan to have that. So then the fire happens and we get overwhelmed with community support. And it was like such a catalyst for us to realize that, like, okay, we should harness this energy and create the infrastructure to keep this energy going. And let's see what else we can do, with it. So we started, we filed a 501c3 and started the Common Roots Foundation. We seeded it with some funds and brought on a board of directors. We're just hitting our 1 year kind of like anniversary of it. And we've been, the brewery does fundraising in perpetuity, and we've taken on a membership program, and there's been a lot of other fundraising we've done, but we've raised money for an employee. We've done a number of different community projects. We've given out, I think 5 grants now to local organizations that are looking for funds for different things. And yeah, it's like kind of sky's the limit. I'm just excited about this foundation and what else we can do with it. As I am the growing, the growing brewery that we have too. So it's the part of our fabric that we were missing, because it is so strong of our ethos of being, like I said, being part of that patchwork of the community is like, all right, well then we need to also be a responsible community member. And as we grow, the community gets to grow with us, and let's make sure that we're giving back, and that structure is part of our corporate structure as well.
That's awesome.
I'm on the website now. I love the Phoenix logo.
Cool. So that was actually a person who worked at my sister's previous company she was at, and she was like, hey, I just, I heard about your family's thing. I want to do something. And she decided to design this logo, Rising from the Ashes. And it was a brewing company, she wrote Rising from the Ashes. She just gave it to us, and it was phenomenal. And so we ended up turning that logo into the foundation's logo.
And your landing page, when you get onto it, that speaks to me, because I am a hiker. I was a aspiring 46er.
Nice.
Until I got too old.
So how many did you get to?
Till you got too old. Yeah, you're too old.
I got 19 of them. The three highest of them, mind you, just not the most out there one. So I love the landing page of someone helping someone up onto the peak.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that was we have a graphic designer that works for us now. She's been with us for 5 years. Her name's Jess Mead. She's our marketing director, but she's a graphic designer, photographer by training. Every year, she's coming out with a new design for that year's. So that was our opening foundation. When you become a member, you get this print of it, and she does this. So that's actually the falls basically that separates Glens Falls and South Glens Falls is what she did. And then there was this peak that she kind of did off to the side. So every year that kind of changes. And I'm actually looking at the new one she's doing for 2022. It's really cool. But it's she's so phenomenal. She does all of our can artwork and all the photography for our social media, and she does our website. She's just a fantastic person.
What's this beat the Brewers?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up for you because
golf.
Next September we're going to go up to.
All right,
it was pretty good.
We definitely got to get people.
Well, we've got to bring someone with us. That is disc golf, is it not?
Yeah, it's disc golf.
Yeah, disc golf.
Yeah, we got to drag Tony.
It was a fundraiser we did for the foundation. It was super fun. And yeah, if you guys, we didn't do too bad. We shot the Brewers. It was me and 3 other guys. We shot 4 under par.
Oh God, that's
and we got annihilated.
We're not being.
You got annihilated.
There were people that did like 11 under par. I was like, holy cow, we weren't
really
doing this.
Wow.
And I thought we had some ringers.
Well, they probably play every day, Dave. When was the last time you played?
I haven't played since college.
There you go. And that was more than 5 years ago, was it
And
not?
back then, it was called Frisbee golf because that was the only disc you could get were either the promotional ones that just you use those for putting,
Right.
or the or you had like 2 weights of frisbees back then.
Yeah.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah. So, but either way, yeah, we'll drag Tony up. We'll go up
drag
next
Tony
September,
up.
right?
If he finds out that there's
He'll
this
drag
golf
us up, yeah.
competition, he'll drag us up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you guys
Septe-
step them up, and if you guys just come up anyway, we'll go and play. There's a course right by my house.
Absolutely.
There
It's all
we go.
good.
We'll be up. Jess and I are actually going to take a ride soon. We want to go by. We want to stop by you. We want to go up by Paul,
Nice.
and a couple others.
Yeah, while the roads are still passable.
Yeah, that's it, right? You don't need chains on your tires, but, you know.
Gene actually just commented back. He says he has a T-shirt and a sweatshirt that he purchased after the fire. He says.
Oh, thank you, Gene. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it, buddy. That's
Definitely.
awesome.
That's
Well,
awesome.
thank you very
Absolutely
much.
awesome. So.
And Gene, Tap House 15 Friday.
Yeah, Friday, Gene. Let us know about Tap House 15.
Yeah, I got a 4-pack for you, buddy.
There you go. Okay. Anyway, let's see what else. All right. Any upcoming events?
I'm actually going to my 3rd beer, John.
You're gonna go to
We
your
are.
third- I'm still working on this one.
We're coming up on our 7th year anniversary.
That's right. Your 7-year
Oh,
coming up. Yeah.
7.
7, yeah. December 19th, you said, right?
Yeah, so it's going to be the weekend of the 17th. Yeah, so we got some new beers coming out. We got anniversary beer. We got some wild beer that's packaged ready to go. It's going to be kind of fun. So yeah, the weekend of the 17th.
Awesome. That's great. We will mention it. We'll be on. We'll mention it the week before as well on the show. 2 weeks. Who's on? Mechanical Brewing's on that day.
Are they?
In 2 weeks, yeah. Down by Cherry Hill. Marlton, I think they're in.
I have not been there yet.
I have.
I know you have.
So anyway, no, it's awesome. You got the 7-year coming up. Any seasonals coming out, or you have them out already?
Always, yeah, we're always coming out. There's always new beers, always new things. It's stout season, so we got plenty of stouts coming out. There's new IPAs.
It is
in the works.
Stout season.
Yeah,
There's
you know when stout season
stout-
starts, Chris. You know when stout season starts. Stout season starts.
Stout season starts.
It starts November 1st every
And
year.
it ends
It
October
ends on
31st.
October 31st.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry.
But so what do you have coming out stout wise, or what? Or it's
Well,
out
our
already?
anniversary beer this year is a stout. It's a big pastry stout, which we went back and forth on what it was going to be and whatnot. But the anniversary stout, anniversary beer is a stout this year, and yeah, that'll be out. I'm pretty excited. It's being packaged coming up. It fermented nicely for a big beer. You always got to kind of watch that when you get up there in ABV.
Yep.
Sometimes they like to stall out, and you gotta keep going. But this beer is. I'm pretty excited.
Nice.
Okay, so it's never just a pastry stout. What else do you have in there other than lactose?
Okay, so you got.
You know what? We have no lactose in there.
You
It's
call it a
pastry-
pastry stout without lactose?
Yeah, we did it without lactose. There's some other adjuncts that.
Oh, you need
Oh,
to.
no,
you,
hold
you
on,
need
hold
to,
on. No,
you need to
see,
explain,
so it is-
Lucy.
No. I'm sure that they planned it like that, but it's harder these days to get lactose because
It's not hard to do
so
lactose.
much of it is going to
It's a
Karlstad.
conscious effort
So.
to not put
Valero
lactose.
Snort has cornered the market on lactose.
Yeah, I just felt like we can make a great stout. I'm not saying that stouts aren't great with lactose in it, but you can also make stouts without.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You're absolutely
no,
right.
we're-
We're just busting other
We're
balls.
busting on
pretty much.
some friends of ours who own a brewery and just
Have you heard of Bolero Snort?
yeah, they actually put out a beer called "Oops, Forgot the Lactose."
It was just an IPA, and they're like, "Oops, forgot the." That's the name of the beer. Oops, forgot
That's
the
a
lactose.
great name. I love it. That's awesome.
Or is it "Oops, no lactose" or something like
No,
that?
oops, or
Oops, forgot.
Who forgot the lactose? I think
Who
it was
forgot
that.
the lactose?
Yeah.
So we make fun of
Anyway.
them all the time. But
So what's in it?
Explain it.
So explain this pastry stout without lactose.
I gotta leave a little bit on the table here. We haven't. Right? This is our one beer we call our anniversary beer.
Gotcha.
I will say it's a pastry stout. It
All right.
tastes delicious. There's what you think is probably in it, but with a little of our own thing going on. But
That's
yeah.
awesome. Cool.
Nice.
And it's the weekend. It's going to be
The
was it
weekend
the
of the
Friday
same-
or
So that Sunday is our true anniversary, but
right?
we're doing our food program. Everything's is kind of catered around the anniversary. So
Gotcha.
The weekend of 17th. But yeah,
All right.
Speaking
So
of
it's the
stout,
weekend of 17th. So you're not releasing the stout till the Sunday, or are you doing?
that'll be on Friday. Yep,
It'll be
we
on
always-
Friday.
Yeah, we'll do our beer release then. Yep.
Nice.
As well as we have, honestly, there's some. We have some beer that started from the Cool Ship in 2018, and it's been multiple barrel to a fooder to a punch-in now with fruit in it. That's coming out. It's aged on peaches. It was packaged about a month ago, so it's been bottle conditioning. We cracked one the other day. It's like beautifully carbonated. So that's also coming out. So there's some other beers we have coming out
Sounds
too.
like I may have to take a long ride on Saturday the 18th.
I am going to. I'm going to be in Florida.
Yeah, you're going to be in Florida.
gonna be in
Because we're doing the podcast on Monday that week.
We're doing it on Monday that week. We may actually be able to do it on Tuesday because my daughter's birthday is actually on Wednesday. I thought it was on Tuesday.
It's on Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday.
Okay, so we can do it on Tuesday.
You may be able to do it on
All
Tuesday.
right, so we keep it on Tuesday. There.
I'm actually going down to Florida to spend my daughter's birthday with her.
Right. There you go. That's very nice. And Christmas, of
Awesome.
course.
It's
And
great.
and
Great
Christmas
thing to do.
following. Yeah,
great
so
thing
it's
to do.
been a while.
Mhm. That's awesome. What's on the horizon for Common Roots? Coming up next year, future?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this more great beer. We
Well,
have,
of course,
like I said,
but
another
I hope so.
facility where we're kind of starting this expansion project.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, yeah, you
that's-
did mention that. Yeah, talk about that.
Yep.
if you want.
So that's going to be right across the street from our kind of Marion Ave that we're on, and there's going to be another kind of big facility being put up
on the other side of the main drag.
Not the main drag. When
side
you
street.
turn into Commoners, that other property that's right there.
Right.
We
Gotcha.
just acquired, and we're gonna be putting out of another facility in. So that's that. And yeah, man, we're just excited. We're happy. We're negotiating always with what's happening in the world with the pandemic and dealing with, obviously COVID's not going anywhere. So we're dealing with just the general growing pains of, like I said, making sure our cans are here and grain prices stay the same and all those stuff. But yeah, we're really happy. We have a great team. We have a great bunch. Our coworkers they're the best in the biz, and we have a really great kind of Comrades family here. So we're happy to be that we're all healthy and
Sure.
we're doing things that we love to do.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for everything that you've done and for everything that you've actually been through, kudos for rising from it and being better for it, and obviously all you have done so far and are doing with the foundation too. That's just awesome.
Thank you very much. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Yeah. No, and we will be up there soon.
Yeah.
Either, both
and-
alone and together too. We'll be,
It'll be
John-
good to have some beers in person for sure.
absolutely, definitely.
And John will put the link to the foundation in our.
I will. Yeah, we'll put it on the website and we'll put it on our social media as well. We'll put the link to the foundation, please. Absolutely,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
definitely. All right. So why don't we get to our top 10? Top
10?
10.
And you did this last week too. Anytime that
I did.
Anytime
No,
that
you know what?
John,
You know what? Here's the thing. I apologize.
anytime that John has big beers during the show,
I fast forward. No, I fast forward to Wednesdays is what I do. Where we do a sports podcast on Wednesday as
we
well.
made the mistake about talking about the Giants. He's already in sportscast.
I'm in sports mode, right? Exactly, and we do a top 10 list every Wednesday, so that's why that happened. So I apologize. Top 3 lists. Let's do our top 3 list.
I could do top 10 if you want.
I'm sure you could. That's why, and we both could. But the problem is, Chris, we do a top 3 because when we originally first started, it was well over a year ago before we started having guests on the show. It was just Dave and I, and we were paying homage to 1933, repeal prohibition, right? So 33, me 3, him 3, 33. There you go. So we did a top 3 list. The other reason is top 10s would take too long,
No, sure.
So we do a top 3 list. Tonight's top 3 list is top 3 favorite Florida breweries. Top 3 favorite Florida breweries. We picked Florida this week because it's starting to get colder.
Yep.
We've all seen snow. The 3 of us have seen snow in the last week. So we figured Florida is nice and warm. So let's pick Florida breweries. That's the inspiration behind picking Florida to.
We talked about possibly doing Texas, but the first person who commented, Tony, he's from Texas.
He's from Texas, so we should
So we're
probably do Texas breweries with Tony.
He's a recurring guest on the show, and he's a lot of fun.
He's a great guy. Yeah. So anyway, but anyway, like I said, tonight's top 3 list is top 3 favorite Florida breweries. Chris, why don't you kick us off? Why don't you let us know what your top?
You just do all 3 or what?
Do all 3. Yeah, you can talk about them. You want to just list them and be done? That's fine. You want to talk about them a little bit? That's fine too.
No. I think I think my first.
Give me a 3-2-1. Give me a 3-2-1.
Brewery. Met
Which
them
one?
at Seventh Sun Brewery.
Oh God,
Seventh Sun.
And we met them first in when I was at Extreme Beer Fest or something in Boston. Great sour program.
Sure.
They're geniuses of marketing because every Hunapoo Day, the morning after, they have the morning after party.
Yep.
And there is lines
Sure.
up the street to get into it. They're absolute geniuses in getting people into their brewery.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're great, and they make great liquid as well. I would say probably another one would be maybe Green Bench. Again, great wild brewery, good lager program. Loving everything they're doing. And then another brewery that I think they were 1 year old when we started, and it was probably one of the first Florida breweries outside the main boys that I've had before would be Cycle. Good stout. Speaking of stouts,
great. Yeah, absolutely.
They've been doing it for a long time, and I got to give it to them. So those are Seventh Sun, Green Bench, Cycle, my top 3.
And Green Bench and Cycle, you can stagger from one to the other.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Cycle's got some phenomenal hoppy beers and massive, massive stouts.
Their stouts are insane. They really are.
Stouts
Cycles.
are thick and dark. You don't even have to boil them down to make a syrup.
No.
Oh yeah. No, totally.
I think I actually have poured leftover Cycle stouts on pancakes in the morning that was left from a bottle share. I'm like, screw it. Let me think. And it was good. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, all right, cool. Samurai, what are yours?
I didn't actually do a 1, 2, 3. I kind of went areas of Florida. So we'll start in the north, and it's why I'm wearing this shirt today. Aardwolf up in the north. They've got a great barrel program up there. My brother lived. They're in Jacksonville. My brother lived in Jacksonville, so he knows them pretty well. He was there all the time. I got to, on many occasions, down at a couple of the beer festivals there, drink with Previn, their owner. A lot of fun. Love their beers. Love their beers. Christian stole my mid coast one.
Yeah. Central Florida one is obviously
Green Bench.
There you go. Absolutely.
Again, whereas Seventh Sun does the after party for Hunapoo, Green Bench has the pre-party.
Absolutely.
The pregame.
They have the pregame, yeah.
And it's fooder for thought. So it's a
fooder for thought.
Fooder for thought.
Fooder for thought.
It's called Fooder for Thought.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I love it, and they do it. It's for charity, and I think it's for a hunger charity.
I believe you're right. Yeah, I think it's hunger.
Yeah, I think it's for World Hunger. And every year they secure a keg of a Cantillon. And when I was there, it was Rosa Gambrinus.
Right.
So,
Rosa Gambrinus is a great beer.
That was fantastic.
Last time I had Rosa Gambrinus was actually I was writing an article. Monday nights I used to go over to the place, and I've talked about it on the show before. Augers Well, on St. Mark's, used to go over there Monday nights and write. Just be working. I'd drive in. I'd sit there. I'd sit in the booth. I'd be writing my article, having a couple beers, and after the second or third one of these, I realized that it was bottle share night for Greg and his buddies, and he would be bringing me over
what they had,
whatever they had, but there'd always be a Cantillon every Monday night. And I'm like, well, I'm just coming here every Monday night, whether I'm writing or not. I'm just coming back every Monday night.
Christian, how we got here is Green Bench was my Central Florida.
So you broke it down by
region.
He did. I just did 3-2-1. You did 3-2-1. He did northern.
I tend not to do 3-2-1 I tend to do categories, and
he doesn't like to give somebody props over somebody else. That's what he.
Yeah, I will do it every now and then. But so North Florida was Aardwolf. And Green Bench, you brought up Seven Sun. Seven Sun has the greatest post-Hunapoo party. The best pre-Hunapoo party is Green Bench at Food or for Thought.
Yep.
And what they do is every year they manage to secure a keg from Cantillon. And it just, and I remember we were there because I would go to Hunapoo pouring for Carton Brewing.
Yep.
And we got there a little late. Augie was already there. That's only one for me.
One for you. That's right.
And we got there a little late. He gave us our tickets. We went and got our Rosa Gambrinus. And then I went into the bartender. He goes, we only got about half an hour left. I said, I'm going to run through as much of this stuff as possible in half an hour. That bartender was fantastic because I think I had about 12 beers in that half hour. While I was drinking one, he's like, what's your next? And it was, oh man, getting up the next morning was so hard.
You're hurting a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was. I was not as much as I was hurting the day after.
I was going to say, then you have to go to Hunapoo Day. So that was.
Get to go to Hunapoo Day. We started drinking in our hotel room at 9 a.m. And I think we finished drinking at about 4 a.m. But you got to remember, there's 1 hour missing in there because Hunapoo Day always is daylight savings.
Sure. Yeah.
So you lose an hour. Thanks, guys.
Just remember, you can't drink all day unless you start in the morning, so it doesn't matter.
Correct.
Exactly.
So then we're going to go south. My South Florida favorite brewery in South Florida, and I'm going to stick over onto the West Coast here is Naples Beach Brewing, which is interesting because there's two breweries in Naples. Naples Beach is furthest from the beach, but they run the gamut of styles there, and I think they pour about 30 in their tap room. So you can sit there and just get flight after flight after flight and just stumble out of there. And I remember the first time I was there, I had rented, I got a rental. I was supposed to get like this Oldsmobile. And they said to me, well, the person who had it was smoking in it. We can't give this to you. So they're going to put me in like this little teeny tiny car. And they said, well, you can do the Sun and the Fun package. I'm like, yeah, but that's extra money. They're like, well, yeah, but it's $20 extra, but for your inconvenience, we'll cut it in half and only charge you $10. Like, it's just 1 day for $10. I'm like, what are we talking about? They're like, well, it's a convertible Camaro SS. I went, here's my money.
Okay. You're like, okay.
Done.
So I roll into Naples Beach Brewery in a convertible Camaro SS. And man, I tell you, after drinking at Naples Beach Brewery, my kids live outside of Fort Lauderdale. So driving across Alligator Alley after Naples Beach Brewing in a Camaro SS convertible was so much fun.
You can imagine.
I made it across the state of Florida. Now it's not that small of a state, and I think I made it
about
across
2.5 hours, 3 hours. No, it's about normal people, regular speed limit driving. It's about 2.5 to 3 hours. But go ahead.
1 hour.
Of course you did.
150 was the lowest I was driving.
I'm sure.
Jesus.
That thing, I was at 110, and I hit the gas pedal. And
Disclaimer, kids, don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah.
But at 110, I mashed the pedal, and it still threw me back in the seat.
Mm-hmm. That's so funny. So we were, do you guys know, you might know from the internet, his name's Fuge, Matthew Shear, but his Fuge on Tap is his Instagram. Anyways, a friend of mine, him and I went out to Belgium in 2018, something. 17. Yeah. For, the I don't even remember, at Cantillon, and we went.
Was it Swansea Day?
Swansea Day?
No, it was Quintessence. And so we went there, and we did all the things that you do, and then we went over, took the train over to Germany, spent like Cologne, had obviously some wonderful calls, and then we rented a car and went down to the Nürburgring, and when we rented it, they were like, hey, you can't take this to any racetracks. And we're like, okay.
Oh my God, that's a help.
And that's obviously what we did, but it was
what was it?
You know what? It was kind of annoying because our random other rental car we had to go from Brussels to where Three Fontina's. We got some like fancy ass Mercedes. It was like, I forgot what it was. It was all souped up. It had some balls to it. And then we got some like stock Audi, and it was kind of okay. It was an automatic, wasn't great. And that's the one, unfortunately, we had to take on the ring. But we definitely, it was.
So
it
what
was,
was
no, it
when
was
you
good when we were done with it. It was.
when you had the Mercedes? Did they didn't warn you to not take that on the racetrack, but they warned you
No,
to
because
not
we
take
were in Belgium still, and I think that was kind of a haul to go.
It's
all
far
the
enough
way.
away.
It's far enough away, but we were in. I think where we went to. I think we got it because we were flying out of Frankfurt or something like that.
Okay.
It was near the airport, which is not that far from Nuremberg, and like that was. They were like, "Yeah, you guys look like people that might do that," like. And we did, and it was cool.
Yeah, maybe you did.
All right,
So
I'll give my.
John has a top three.
I'll do my top three real quick. I'll just make them. I'll do it easy. I'll just list them. My number three, Aardwolf was there. It was for the talking, but I didn't want to repeat something that Samurai did, obviously. But Sunlab, it's a newer brewery. They're actually available in Jersey right now too. They're brought in by Justin from Liquid Runner. We had him on the show back in July or whatever. But Sunlab's brewing decent beer. They're my number three at the moment, and we talked about this before. Top three lists are fluid. Like if we ask, something like a top three Florida breweries, that's not going to change that much unless you're spending a lot of time in Florida, right? But we've done top three hops before, top three hop varieties, top three.
Yeah, but the Florida breweries can change. Because like I told John at the top, before we started the show, I could do a top three Tampa breweries.
Right. So. It's all fluid, but anyway, at the moment, my number three, Sunlab Brewing. They're down in Miami.
And it's funny because last week was the first time we duplicated a top three.
Mm-hmm.
It was top three holiday beers.
Mm-hmm.
John's did change. Mine was
exactly the same.
Identical. Didn't change at all.
His from last year was identical. Mine, my three and my two were different. My number one.
And John will tell you, I can have a horrible memory for things. I did not look ahead. I didn't look back to what it was.
It was the same.
And came up with the same three.
So anyway, my number two, I'm wearing the shirt, Funky Buddha. Not so much. They're you want to talk about them, selling out or any of that, whatever. But you know what? They're still making decent beer, and forget about now. Back in the day, I mean, the beer that they brewed up till now, obviously. It's. I mean, we can talk.
Maple Bacon Coffee Porter.
Maple Bacon Coffee Porter is
right.
It's a legendary beer, absolutely.
And with my kids living down near Fort Lauderdale, I would go down and stay with them when they were in school,
right?
Because Funky Buddha opens at 11 on weekdays.
Sure.
I would be sitting in the brewery, and I'd walk in, and I'd tell them, if it's 2:00, kick me out, please. And it got to the point where I'd walk into the brewery and they'd be like, "Hey, Jersey's back." I'm like, I should not be this well known in a brewery.
In a brewery in Oakland Park, Florida,
2,000 miles away from where I live. This is not good.
So anyway, number two, Funky Buddha, and number one, Angry Chair in Tampa.
You want to talk about pastry stouts?
Yeah.
So I really think they need a program that when you walk out of there, you get just a complimentary insulin shot.
Would make sense. Yeah, I just had not too long ago. I just had a German chocolate cake pastry.
Oh God, that's such a good beer. But I've watched teeth rot in that brewery.
Over the course of like 10 minutes. It's not even days or years or anything, is it?
God, I love their beers, and it's really hard to walk into that brewery and be able to, with any class, style, or aplomb, walk out of it.
Exactly. You gotta love it. Anyway.
Well, that's that's like that's a mission for me. I've yet to go there, so there we go. You set a standard now.
There is not a few blocks away from that is the second tap room that Seven Sun opened.
Cool.
So they're not too far away.
There you go. And I hear Tom Brady doesn't live too far away from there either. So. And on that note, Giselle Bundchen too.
I almost wore my Traderade shirt tonight.
Traderade, there we go.
There's a brewery in Rhode Island called Smug, and they did a key lime sour, and they called it Traderade. And Smug's logo is a rooster. So just take the Buccaneers logo and put a rooster in the
Instead of
helmet.
the face of the Buccaneer, it's the rooster, and that's the logo of the beer Traderade. So
And that kind of put them on the map. Tampa did a story on them. Boston did a story on them.
Yeah.
They really made a name for themselves with that one beer.
yeah.
It's good.
Tom Brady. Anyway, so you're all right. So you're a Giants fan, baseball.
Baseball, I'm a Sox fan, Red Sox fan, but to be honest with you, if you really go back to the original, I'd say my family's from Maryland. The
Orioles
first
fan.
Orioles fan. Cal Ripken Jr., Brady
Sure.
Anderson, Roberto.
The Iron Man.
That was a team I grew up with.
Sure.
And just being in the league, we all just hated the Yankees, so that's how I became kind of a Red Sox fan as well.
Well, it's ironic. Okay, it's ironic because Dave and I, our favorite team,
The Mets.
beat the Orioles in the first time they were in the World Series.
Sure.
And Dave and I were we were very small then. We were young, little guys. So we were there, but not there, but we were around.
We're out of the womb.
There you go. We were outside the womb, right? And but we also both of us do have an American League team, and that is the Red Sox.
It's Red Sox, even though we beat them in the World Series as well.
And ironically, that's the other team we beat in the World Series.
Thank you, Billy Buckner.
There you go.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool old history. It's a great, it's a great club. I don't know.
Well, I
First
said
time
there's
you go to Fenway, you feel it. There's a lot of.
I love Fenway Park. I was just there in August. I mean, we were there. We were in Boston a few weeks ago. Actually, did not get over to Fenway, but I was just there. I was just at Fenway Park in.
Kerry got to walk around Fenway.
There you go.
But I wasn't there. There are 3 cities, I think, in the country that are just fantastic when it comes to sports fans: New York, Boston, Chicago.
Yep.
They're the 3 cities that get it.
Yep.
And even though they may have bitter rivalries from one city to the next, there's still a respect for the game and the fans from the other teams. Well, maybe not the fans, but maybe the teams. But they really get it. Like I said, Boston. I'm also kind of a closet Bruins fan.
I was gonna say hockey. I mean, you go into the original 6 too.
Sure.
I mean?
There you go.
Sure.
We're John and I are both Ranger fans.
We're both Rangers fans, but
So it's funny when I was on the board and I was running, I was running that organization Lake Placid. Mike Richter was on our
He lives in
board.
Lake Placid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was funny because I was like, yeah, he is a big, and Veronica, his wife, was actually the board member. But it was as a Bruins fan through and through. I would occasionally, when we were at a function or something like that, especially in wintertime, I might have come walked in with a Boston hat,
a Bruins
just
hat.
kind of subtle,
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Mike, how's it going? Like
How's
that?
it going?
There you go.
But you know what? I will always have a lot of respect for Bruins fans for when, Ray Bork left and went to the Avalanche.
Yep.
He had the press conference, explained it. The Bruins fans embraced him, and during that Stanley Cup that the Avalanche were in, the Boston fans sold out the Garden to watch it on the screens every single game. And when the captain of the Avalanche hoisted the cup, the next person he gave it to, because he understood the game, respected the game, he gave it to Ray Bork.
There you go.
It's a lot of respect there.
A lot of respect.
And the Garden went nuts.
Yep.
And so I will always respect Boston fans because he wasn't on the team anymore.
Right.
But they understood it. They seriously understood it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate the Bruins either. I'm not. There's only one of all 4 major sports. There's only one team that I can't stand.
The Flyers. Oh no, the Cowboys. You hate the
I
Cowboys.
was saying the Montreal Canadiens.
No.
No, he hates the Cowboys.
It's football and it's the Cowboys. I'm when it comes to football, I'm a Giants fan and whoever's playing Dallas that week. That's it.
And and the one team that I absolutely do hate in all the sports are the Flyers.
You hate the Flyers. I don't hate the
So
Flyers.
Glens Falls
I don't
had
like the Flyers, but I don't hate the Flyers.
AHL affiliate of the Flyers for a season in Glens Falls, the Phantoms. So I don't mind the Flyers just because it was fun watching, that franchise for a bit. Because when you have an AHL team in your town, you do follow the whole team. You want to see when they're going up, when who's coming down.
Sure.
And that's kind of a fun process. So I ended up watching a lot of Flyers games when the Phantoms were playing for a season in Glens Falls.
Yeah, it is fun like that. And my biggest problem with the Flyers is that we had to endure Eric Lindros after he was good on the Flyers.
I think one of my biggest problems was when Hextall was their goalie.
Yeah, I suppose. You know what? There's going to be issues with every team, right? But I honestly, the only team I can actually say I just can't stand is the Dallas Cowboys, and it's actually only for two reasons right now.
Jimmy.
Jerry.
Jerry, right.
Jerry Jones, the owner.
Dude, Jerry Jones owns Legends, which is one of the big. They're like a center plate. They're one of the big concession companies that.
Oh right.
Venues, including Stack,
right.
which is our big concert venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I knew I hated dealing with Legends. Jerry Jones owns it. That's why.
And it's Jerry Jones, and the other reason is because I cannot stand this.
Oh God.
For those of you listening to the audio podcast, I was doing the
feed it with a spoon.
The Zeke
whatever.
feed me.
Yeah.
Enough of that. Just stop. Yeah. Anyway.
You never announced my third beer, John, and it's only out of jealousy.
I didn't announce your third beer because I'm not going to open my third beer. I'll throw it up really quick right now,
so
and it's out of jealousy, Bennington, right there.
I have promised, John, I will save one of these for him.
I will save McCann, and I actually have another one of these, so if you'd like, I'll swap them with you.
There we go. We'll swap it. Yeah, we'll swap. Because otherwise, I had actually threatened to drink all four of them on the show tonight.
Bennington's a great beer. I actually haven't had it in like 4 years, but I've had it a few times prior to that.
And he was there in the brewery.
I was there a week and a half before you.
And they didn't have
it.
And I stumbled into it. Well, just give me that. That sounds good.
There you go. Really quick, Chuck Aaron from Jersey Girl Brewing in it's Mount Olive, but it's Bud Lake, and it's near Hackettstown. So it's all three towns if you want to call it that. Jersey Girl Brewing in New Jersey. Chuck Aaron says cheers.
Hey, cheers,
Chuck.
Good to see you, bud.
There you go. But yeah, so I begged him. I kept telling him, please, just I gave him. You ever see the cat from Shrek with the
Puss in Boots?
The Puss in Boots, yeah.
Boots with the big watery eyes.
The big watery eyes, please. So there you go. So I got to get one of those anyway.
No, one of these is being put aside for Jersey Johnny.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right.
What a guy.
Anyway, all right. Stick around, Chris. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been an awesome show.
Hey guys,
anything?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Here. Anything you want to tell anybody before we go that is coming up for the brewery, other than the anniversary on the weekend of the 17th?
Anniversary. Nothing. Just happy people are doing well. Have a great holidays. Stay safe, and I appreciate when people support Common Roots.
Absolutely.
And we'll send you the therapy bill.
Thank you. By the way.
There you go.
It's really just a beer.
It's really just a 4-pack.
It's
right. A 4-pack.
Perfect.
That's right.
That's perfect.
So, there you go. Anyway, all right. We'll end the show on that note for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lageroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night around 6:30 Eastern Time.
You keep stealing that.
That's why I do it.
You stop doing it.
All right.
Because
all right.
he would go.
All right. I'll do it.
Here we go.
On both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday night at 6:30.
Ish.
Thank you. All right.
There we go.
For those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Plus, the show is now available on Amazon Music Podcast and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer. Drink responsibly. Chris, once again, thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Kudos to Common Roots. Congratulations on your 7th anniversary. Thank you for everything you're doing for the community. We will post the foundation up on the website and, of course, on social media.
Guys. I appreciate
Absolutely. It. And have a great weekend, folks, and happy holidays. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.